Hello, welcome to ET Auto's Month in Review. This is Shobha Mathur. We'll be discussing the July sales numbers, what's gone up, what's come down, and I've got with me here Nabil Khan, editor of ET Auto.
Hello, Shobha.
Nabil, hello. The entire auto segment has experienced growth during July. So this is coming, straight after the apprehensions that were experienced due to the enforcement of GST. So how do you view that?
So July is a month when the clarity came in for the industry. So already numbers were out. So the vehicle manufacturers started passing on the benefit to the customer that led to increase in demand and better sales. So this was one of the key factor. Apart from that, if you look at overall market sentiment, that has also improved post correct and timely monsoon. That has also played a very important role. Third factor is that since this is a mostly dispatch number, so it means wholesales. So once the dealers were able to clear, after their inventories post GST implementation, they wanted higher number of vehicles. So there was no inventory at the dealership. So of course it was natural that the demand from dealership will be high. So that's the reason you have higher wholesale in July. So these are few main reasons that I would say caused higher sales in July, wholesales.
Largely the month of July we have seen replenishment of the stocks that were all sold off in the month of June by the dealers. So you see the month of July to be far better than what was the June figures. It is simply because in June the wholesales were not happening so much because the focus was on selling off the existing stocks to the dealers, and in July the wholesale has been good because of the replenishments being given by the OEM to the dealers.
Not surprisingly, the passenger vehicle manufacturers of course led the growth, and most of them, in fact Maruti and Honda cars, all of them have experienced double-digit growth excepting Hyundai. So are they not able to muster the sales?
No, look at Hyundai. Hyundai has if you look at most of the car maker, they had a lot of new launches in the last 4-5 months. Maruti Suzuki launched, Honda launched WRB, Maruti Suzuki brought in Swift Desire, new Desire. So there has been Tata Motors brought new vehicles. So most of the vehicles manufacturers had new products, so there was excitement around their brand. However, Hyundai, which was growing very fast, they had very good number in the past with the launch of Creta, etc. They already had higher base, so you cannot see much of growth in Hyundai because of that, because they were already working on a higher base. So a percentage of growth will not be that high as compared to Tata Motors, which has a lower volume, or Maruti Suzuki. Of course they have higher number of dealerships, so that means their dispatches will of course increase because of the clearance of all the inventories that they had pre GST inventories. So there you are seeing a huge growth in terms of percentage. What do you think could be the reason behind Hyundai not doing so well? Because you have been tracking the industry as well, so it's not my expertise only, your expertise should also come in. What do you think?
Yes, of course I agree that there are not enough new launches by Hyundai, and the last that we saw really doing well was the Creta SUV. So in fact, and Hyundai has also been focusing a lot on its elite i20, Grand i10. And but they are sort of older models now. The customer is looking for a refresh.
Look at Honda cars. In Honda cars they have grown by 22%, and it's mainly driven by WRV that I said in the past also. That's one vehicle that has the capacity to take on the fast growing segment, utility vehicle segment. I think they have been able to dent on the likes of Creta and Brezza. They have grown 22% in India. That would be, I think, such kind of growth they might have witnessed after a long time. So that could be these are the factors that has really helped passenger vehicle grow.
Yes, in fact, the WRV has just entered the top 5 utility vehicles
also. So that's it's a good time for Honda, but let's see how they are able to sustain this, because Jazz is not doing as good as it was expected. Honda City, which is doing good for them, and now you have Verna coming up, which is going to directly hit the market for Honda City. So let's hope for the best. What happens for Honda cars, that will see in next 2-3 months once Verna comes out.
So you've test driven the new Verna. So how do you find it? Do you think it's going to hit the market and get all the sales numbers for that?
See, if you look at Verna, I don't see that element spark in terms of design, or there's no some path breaking change that is there in the Verna. But I'm still hopeful because it's a good car, good features are being offered. So feature is one thing that will probably give lead to Hyundai in terms of other car manufacturer they have launched earlier. So there were some features that was not available in Honda City or Ciaz that Hyundai has been able to put through.
Coming to the two-wheeler segment, normally it's the scooters which have led the sales march. This time in July, according to SIAM numbers, it's motorcycles which are ahead.
So this is clear indication, as I mentioned earlier also, that the rural market has started picking up, and motorcycle is mostly, especially 110 and commuter segment, wherein mostly rural market is the main driver. And look at the monsoon, look at the farm sector that has been doing better than we had a very bad monsoon in last 2 years. So this is certainly is positive for market in rural areas, and mostly motorcycle is a rural phenomena compared to scooters. Scooter is mainly in the city, urban and semi-urban area phenomena. So that means the urban area remains stable, static. There is no much excitement. Look at the implementation of next pay commission payout. When it starts rolling out, you will probably see again growth in scooter and other vehicle which are more dependent in urban area.
When you're talking about the rural markets and the motorcycles doing well, the three-wheelers are still in the red.
So three-wheeler has a different problem right now. As I have been mentioning, three-wheeler is being eaten by the LCVs, So last mile connectivity, for carrying goods for a smaller distance, that has been, replaced by or eaten into by LCVs, small LCV, 1 ton, 800 and all kind of LCVs. Apart from that, for carrying people, three-wheelers, passenger carriers were one of the main product that were selling in this segment, which has now been eaten by electric power vehicle that is being used for last mile connectivity, like from metro to colonies or small town to village, or these kind of area where three-wheelers were used. Now that is being eaten into by these LCVs and electric vehicle. That's the reason three-wheeler is not doing so well.
A positive in July, of course, was the commercial vehicle segment on the road to recovery, especially medium and heavy commercial vehicles. So do you think it's time to celebrate?
We'll have to watch it for another few months. Let's everything settle down, because currently the market is running under euphoria and excitement, and then there are some roadblock. Like look at recent development of cess on passenger vehicle segment. So I'm talking about overall auto sales. So we'll have to wait and watch, because we can't say anything right now. But overall, if we see, things look up and positive for electric vehicle, for commercial vehicle, as well as the road infrastructure work has started kicking. A lot of Nitin Gadkari has made a lot of new announcement that adds to it. So I'm hopeful about MSCV segment that it will be on path to recovery.
So I think the prospects are good. We are seeing this time a good monsoon, and successively a good monsoon over the last 2-3 years. Also, we see a fair amount of movement in the infrastructure development, expenditure that's happening, road building is happening. So in the second half of the year, certainly we would see, in our opinion, the commercial vehicle industry should be coming back on stream. The rural markets should be also bouncing back because of good monsoons, and hopefully the second half of the year would be far better for the commercial vehicle industry, which has been seeing a downturn and sluggishness for a long period now.
Since you mentioned the additional cess, of course, all the passenger vehicles now are going to attract higher cess, that is almost 25%, plus the 28% base GST.
So I think government needs to relook at it, because this segment we are talking about, above 4-meter segment, which that contributes close to 28-29% and over 50% of the total revenue of the passenger vehicle industry. So that is going to hit the exchequer as well in terms of taxes collection and all, if that sales drops in that segment. So I think this is one thing that is going to impact automobile industry badly if there is no correction done. So government will have to think why they are putting that kind of cess. I think if we implement this new cess on vehicle, it will the tax on total tax on vehicle will become probably more than what it was in the pre-GST era. So that's a worrisome area. I think the industry is already pitching to government for relook at it. We have to wait and watch how it pans out.
But I don't think anything has been done so far in terms of bringing down the rates for the hybrid vehicles, and they've already started declining in terms of sales.
So obviously hybrid and micro hybrid vehicles were mainly getting advantage from FAME scheme. It's been 2 months FAME scheme was taken away from there. The advantage being offered, the subsidy under FAME scheme was taken away. Then one more negative came in, that under GST there was heavy tax announced under this. So that has also put a negative burden on this. So going forward, until we don't see any relook or revision of those tax structure, will continue to see decline in micro hybrid and hybrid segments.
But none of the car manufacturers are planning to stop the sales.
So that's that's being politically correct, and they might be saying this to media, but in actually I'm telling you that they are already reconsidering their plans to get into this space. Okay, so it was just in the government's intermediate, government might have taken this decision because it was government's intermediary option that they were offering, because we plan to move to complete electric vehicles. So how do they see, are they sure that let's move directly to electric vehicle, we don't need hybrid? What is the thought process in the government, that we have to see, because all other stakeholders should also come forward and find a solution to it, because this is one very important thing when we are struggling for better environment and pollution free India. So we need to work on this direction.
Right. In terms of the two-wheeler industry, I mean, most of the two-wheeler manufacturers have experienced a double-digit growth, though TVS is still in single digits and Bajaj is continuing to be in the red. So experts though are saying that in the second half of the year it should pick up. So what is your opinion on that?
See, it's only a guess, because for individual company there are different factors. Look at TVS. TVS was hit badly because of demonetization, because they had larger share coming in from rural market. Now, since the rural market has picked up, why TVS is still not showing growth? That is because they already had, I think, good volume. They had a higher base, so percentage it is not reflecting. Plus, they did not have much of growth in their motorcycle segment. That is the reason they need to revive their product portfolio in a motorcycle segment. They need to bring some new exciting product, as other competition has even the look at the buyers, they are oscillating between new brands, especially Royal Enfield. A lot of people are moving toward Royal Enfield and Honda. So that's the problem with these companies. They need to reinvent, bring product which appeal to the new set of customers. So that's been one of the reasons.
A lot of choices for the customer.
Yeah, so they are going for new choices. So
and Bajaj Auto experiencing a decline in exports, in domestic sales. I mean,
so you have been closely observing Bajaj Auto. Tell me, what is the reason for this? Because for me, I see differently. You tell me, you have been regularly tracking this company.
I think it's premium segment like KTM, Dominar. These are expected to pick up in the second half of the year. The first half, they haven't really shown a good growth. So
that could be one reason. But apart from that, look at Bajaj. The products they launched like a V and others, they did not do much well. And if you look at overall two-wheeler segment, this scooters are doing much better. The volume of a scooter is growing, and Bajaj doesn't have a scooter. So when you talk about overall two-wheeler segment, so that's how the market is being eaten by Yamaha. They have also a scooter that is growing fast. Hero MotoCorp is pushing a lot their scooters. Look at their ad campaign, the offers they are offering. So the scooter, this time two-wheeler market is mainly scooter driven, and Bajaj currently doesn't have. They are mostly into motorcycles. So when you talk about overall volume, Bajaj may not be able to do that kind of numbers as their competition.
Yes, their motorcycles overall haven't done too well.
Yeah, so they're new. After Pulsar, you hardly remember any product that has done that path breaking, phenomenal success as this Pulsar was. They are still trying to reap from that Pulsar brand itself. Their new brand V, that there was a lot of expectation which didn't do well. So that is one of the reasons. That's why.
So on that note, that the second half of the year is going to be more positive, especially after the decision on whether the GST rate is going to be increased. The cess of 25% plus 28% tax will be there.
August, September is going to be very important, because then you will really understand, after this decision of putting 25% cess on vehicles above sub 4 meter, will be a very important, crucial factor. So
that will be the real decider whether the market is taking it or not.
Thank you so much.